My name is Maria Artemis. I'm an artist, sculptor, designer. I just really love going into a public space and creating something that people might just discover. That's what drives my work. The sense of the largeness of reality and how little we know about it.
My name is John Deemer. I'm a professor of earth sciences here at UNC Charlotte. I grew up near Chicago, and a lot of the gravel and playgrounds came out of limestone and dolomite quarries. So those had a lot of fossils in them that I can remember handling those when I was in kindergarten, wondering what in the world these things were.
As human beings, we have this capacity that when there's something that arouses that interest, that curiosity in us, and we follow it, the way makes itself.
The earth is this dynamic body that keeps moving. The history preserved in the rocks is of great value. We can reconstruct events with greater and greater precision and then predict with more certainty what might happen in the future. Maria's windscreens do a nice job of illustrating that assembly of the craton.
The way the continent evolved was the first hook. That's when I was able to really sink my teeth into the possibilities. Each windscreen has a timeline, and on that timeline you see the present and you see the beginning of the earth at the bottom.
The Carolina terrain, which has the Charlotte Belt on its western part and the Carolina Slate Belt on its eastern part, is adjacent to the Piedmont terrain. You could think of that as being part of one ribbon continent that has been assembled and tilted and accreted to the eastern side of North America, one after another in orogenic events. So the plutonic rocks, or the deeper rocks, are part of the Charlotte Belt, and then the supracrustal rocks would have been part of the Carolina Slate Belt. And it's in those sedimentary deposits that we find that pteridinium fossil.
It was one of the first multi-celled creatures.
We have to picture this out in the Iapetus Ocean. This was a place that had active volcanism, shallow seas around it, and that was the environment in which the pteridinium was able to thrive. Tens of millions of years later, this island arc collided with North America.
One of the things that interested me from the beginning was that small park. It was exactly parallel with the boundary between those belts. The local stone expresses these two very different areas of deposit. On the platform, the stones are from a quarry in Georgia. Those two belts come together right in Elberton. Having the granite from Georgia on the platform sort of spoke to that larger geological event.
The final orogenic event was the Alleghanian orogeny, and that's when Africa and North America collided. The forces involved in that lateral collision built a mountain chain comparable in size to the Andes Mountains.
I was interested in sort of making some reference to show how the geological event formed the Appalachian Mountains. So the mounds of the grass as they mature will sort of echo how it formed.
Rocks are fundamental to what society depends upon. I mean, the soils from which crops are grown are weathered remains of rocks. If you think of the history of settlement and land use in North Carolina, this area was the first place in the U.S. to have a gold rush.
The first gold mint was in Charlotte. That's what drew the banking industry here. The geology really shaped the socio-evolution of the Charlotte area.
The Gold Hill Shear Zone has lots of fractures in it, and hydrothermal fluids carrying gold in solution would have moved through the crust and filled veins and the rocks around sources of magma. A lot of the gold mining is associated with that igneous activity.
Everything has its own identity and integrity. Whatever about it that you connect to, you work with that. My favorite thing is to work with a stone that I can enhance some of the natural form. The movement in the stone is frozen in time. That one that had a break was an opportunity to make a bench that had two parts. There's a conversation that's happening between the material and me. Why did I name it Tectonic Suite?
a group of rocks found together and have a similar history. It would be a suite of rocks.
Suite has many meanings, but it's used symphonically. There were many different parts of it, just like a piece of music. They all had a harmony together, and they were all about these events that formed this place. Every culture is a deep space that you can never get to the bottom of. There are all these rich layers that are alive.
That kind of knowledge is good for society, to have this better sense of how Earth formed and how these resources need to be managed and appreciated.
When we expand our awareness of that bigger picture, we bring that into our daily lives. And once we get there, we will treat all the aspects of the world with respect. We're connected to them. We're part of this larger body.